Hi, welcome to the second video on in part 2 on continuity and smooth, and in this video we'll be looking at limits. So this is the second part of 5.1. So a limit approaches a particular point but never quite reaches that particular point. And a limit only exists if the limit approaches the same value from the left and the right. Now note, it still exists even if the point doesn't exist. So if, for example, if you've got something like this, that line, it will approach the same value from the left and the right, but it doesn't actually exist at the point. We'd still say the limit actually still exists at that point. Okay. A closed endpoint is considered continuous. We simply ignore the limit on the side that doesn't exist. So, for example, that we can say is continuous the entire way along, and the limit will still exist up to that point. To find a limit, we substitute the value of the point into the function. So for example, I've got this here, I've got the function x squared minus 5, and I want to know what it approaches. So what the y value approaches when x approaches 3. Okay, so for this case we can just simply add, substitute 3 in, and we can say that as x approaches 3, then the y value will approach 4. Okay, sometimes it's not all that straightforward, because sometimes we will get something like this. Now, it's not possible for this graph here, x squared minus 4 over x minus 2. You can't actually substitute in x equals 2, because if you do, you get something divided by 0. So, and the denominator can never be 0. So what we'd need to do is we'd actually need to factorize the top. So we get x plus 2, x minus 2, and then we can cross off each of these values here. Because we know that x doesn't actually equal 2, it's just approaching 2. And so we cross off those two things, and then as it's approaching 2 and x is approaching 2, then this graph, the y value, will approach the value of 4. Okay, so that's kind of how we can sort of do limits. We can approach things from the left or the right, and sometimes they have positive and negative signs. So they'll say limit. Let me start again. They say limit of, say, x approaching 3 from the positive or from the negative. So they could also have a negative up there as well. And that kind of tells you which direction they come from. Positive being the right-hand side and negative being the left-hand side. So I hope that has been helpful. And in the next video, I'll sort of look at 5.2, average rates of change and instantaneous rates of change. So thanks very much.